The Arizona sun blazed mercilessly across the canyon when Nika first approached the legendary horse trainer's camp. Her bare feet moved silently across the red earth, her bronze skin glistening with a thin sheen of perspiration that caught the light like liquid gold. The Apache blood in her veins sang with ancient wisdom, but her heart raced with modern desires she barely understood. Coal fern thunders. Mackenzie looked up from the wild Mustang he'd been studying, his steel blue eyes immediately drawn to the vision approaching his makeshift corral. The woman moved with the fluid grace of a desert cat, her long black hair flowing like silk in the desert wind. She wore traditional Apache clothing that accentuated every curve of her lithe form, and Cole felt his mouth go dry as the Sonoran desert. "You are the one they call Thunder," Nika said, her voice carrying the musical cadence of her native tongue mixed with carefully learned English. "They say you can tame any wild creature." Cole pushed back his worn Stetson, revealing sun-weathered features that spoke of countless days under the unforgiving sky. "Depends on the creature, miss. Some things are meant to run free." Nika's dark eyes sparkled with mischief and something deeper, more primal. "My stallion Windrunner refuses all riders. The men of my tribe say he is cursed, that no one can break his spirit." "Breaking spirits ain't my business," Cole replied, his voice rough as sandpaper. "I prefer to understand what makes a creature tick, then work with their natural instincts." The way he said it, with that slow drawl and meaningful pause, sent heat spiraling through Nika's core. She stepped closer to the corral, her fingers trailing along the rough wooden fence. "Perhaps you could teach me your methods. I wish to learn the art of gentle persuasion." Cole's eyes darkened as he watched her graceful movements. There was something untamed about this Apache beauty, something that called to the wildness in his own soul. "Training requires patience, miss. Long hours of close contact, learning to read every signal, every response. I am a quick learner," Nika assured him, her lips curving into a smile that promised secrets. "And I am not afraid of intensive instruction." The Mustang in the corral snorted and pawed the ground, as if sensing the electric tension building between the two humans. Cole found himself studying Nika with the same intensity he usually reserved for wild horses, noting the proud set of her shoulders, the way her chest rose and fell with each breath, the challenge gleaming in her obsidian eyes. "Where's this stallion of yours?" Cole asked, though his gaze never left her face. Nika whistled softly, a sound like wind through canyon walls. From beyond the ridge came the thunder of hooves, and moments later, a magnificent black stallion appeared, his coat gleaming like polished obsidian. The animal was pure power and grace, muscles rippling beneath his dark hide as he approached. "Magnificent," Cole breathed. And Nika wasn't entirely sure if he was referring to her horse or to her. "Windrunner has never allowed anyone to mount him," she explained, moving to stroke the stallion's neck. The horse nuzzled her shoulder affectionately, and Cole noticed how her touch seemed to calm the beast instantly. "But with you, perhaps he might learn to accept a firm hand." Cole stepped closer, close enough to smell the intoxicating mixture of sage and wildflowers that clung to Nika's skin. "Training a stallion like this requires building trust slowly. You can't rush the process, or you'll end up with a broken spirit instead of a willing partner." "Show me," Nika whispered, her voice barely audible above the desert wind. "Teach me how to make him respond to my touch." Cole's calloused hand covered hers as he guided her fingers along Windrunner's powerful neck. The contact sent electricity shooting up Nika's arm, and she gasped softly at the sensation. Cole's touch was firm yet gentle, confident yet respectful. Exactly the kind of handling she'd been craving without even realizing it. "Feel that?" Cole murmured, his breath warm against her ear. "The way his muscles tense and then relax under your palm. That's trust building. That's the beginning of surrender." Nika's pulse quickened as she felt both the horse's response and Cole's proximity. The cowboy's masculine scent, leather, sweat, and something uniquely male, enveloped her like an embrace. She found herself wondering what it would feel like to have those strong hands exploring more than just her technique with horses. "Tomorrow we begin your real education," Cole said, stepping back reluctantly. "Be here at dawn. Training requires dedication, and I don't accept students who aren't willing to give everything they have." As Nika mounted Windrunner bareback and rode away, Cole watched her disappear into the desert landscape, knowing that he'd just agreed to something far more dangerous than training a wild stallion. Dawn painted the desert sky in shades of rose and gold as Nika arrived at Cole's camp, her heart hammering with anticipation. She'd barely slept, her dreams filled with visions of strong hands and whispered instructions. The cowboy was already awake, tending to his own mount, a powerful bay gelding that seemed to mirror his master's quiet confidence. "You're early," Cole observed, not bothering to hide his appreciation as his gaze swept over her form. Today she wore fitted leather pants that hugged her curves like a second skin, paired with a simple cotton shirt that did little to conceal her feminine assets. "I am eager to learn," Nika replied, dismounting from Windrunner with fluid grace. "Now my body is ready for whatever instruction you wish to provide." Cole's jaw tightened at her innocent yet provocative words. Everything about this Apache beauty seemed designed to test his self-control, from the way she moved to the husky quality of her voice when she spoke English. "First lesson," Cole said, moving to stand beside Windrunner. "Understanding the animal's nature. Stallions are proud creatures driven by instinct and desire. You can't dominate them through force. You have to seduce them into cooperation." Nika stepped closer, close enough that Cole could see the flecks of gold in her dark eyes. "And how does one seduce a stallion?" "Touch her," Cole replied, his voice rougher than usual. "But not just any touch. It has to be confident, purposeful. The animal needs to feel your strength while also sensing your willingness to yield when necessary." He demonstrated by running his hands along Windrunner's flank, his movements slow and deliberate. The stallion's skin twitched under his touch, but the animal remained calm, almost hypnotized by the cowboy's skilled ministrations. "Your turn," Cole said, positioning himself behind Nika. "Place your hands here, and let me guide you." Nika's breath caught as Cole's chest pressed against her back, his arms encircling her as he covered her hands with his own. She could feel the heat radiating from his body, could smell the intoxicating mixture of leather and masculinity that seemed to cling to his skin. "Feel the rhythm of his breathing," Cole murmured, his lips dangerously close to her ear. "Match your movements to his natural cadence. That's how you build harmony between rider and mount." Nika tried to focus on the horse, but Cole's proximity was making it impossible to concentrate on anything except the way his body felt pressed against hers. When he shifted slightly, she felt something firm pressing against her lower back, and her pulse quickened with the realization of his arousal. "I can feel his power," she whispered, though she wasn't entirely sure if she was referring to the horse or the man behind her. "Power that needs to be channeled," Cole agreed, his hands guiding hers in slow, hypnotic circles. "The key is knowing when to apply pressure and when to ease off. Too much force and you'll create resistance. Too little and you'll never achieve the penetration you need to reach his core." Nika's knees went weak at his words, at the double meaning that seemed to hang in the desert air between them. She leaned back slightly, allowing herself to melt against Cole's solid frame, and heard his sharp intake of breath. That's very good," Cole managed, his voice strained. "You're a natural at reading the signals." Windrunner snorted softly as if approving of the lesson, but Nika was barely aware of the horse anymore. All her attention was focused on the man whose hands were teaching her body a different kind of rhythm entirely. "What's the next step?" she asked, turning in his arms so that they were face to face. The movement brought their bodies into even closer contact, and she could see the desire burning in his steel blue eyes. Mounting, Cole said hoarsely. But that requires perfect timing, absolute trust, and the willingness to surrender control at the crucial moment. Nika's lips parted slightly, her breathing shallow. I think I'm ready for that lesson. Cole stared down at her upturned face, at the invitation written clearly in her expression, and felt his carefully maintained control beginning to crack. Nika, I don't think you understand what you're asking for. I understand perfectly, she replied, her hand coming to rest on his chest, feeling the rapid beat of his heart beneath her palm. I want you to teach me everything. Show me what it means to be truly ridden. The desert wind swirled around them, carrying the scent of sage and possibility. Cole knew he was standing at a crossroads, and whatever choice he made would change everything between them forever. The afternoon sun beat down mercilessly as Cole led Nika to a secluded canyon where red rock walls provided privacy from prying eyes. Windrunner followed docilely, as if sensing the electric tension crackling between his mistress and her instructor. The air shimmered with heat and unspoken desires. Advanced training requires isolation, Cole explained, his voice rougher than usual. No distractions, no interruptions. Just you, me, and the raw connection between rider and mount. Nika's pulse quickened as she surveyed their private arena. The canyon walls rose around them like ancient guardians, creating an intimate space where secrets could be shared and boundaries could be crossed. I am ready for whatever you wish to teach me. Cole's eyes darkened as he studied her face, searching for any sign of hesitation. Finding none, he moved closer, close enough that she could see the fine lines around his eyes, the stubble that shadowed his jaw, the way his lips curved with barely contained hunger. Today we work on mounting techniques, he said, his hands moving to her waist. But first you need to understand the importance of proper positioning. Nika's breath caught as Cole lifted her effortlessly, his strong hand spanning her waist as he placed her on a smooth boulder that brought them to eye level. The casual display of his strength sent heat spiraling through her core, and she found herself wondering what it would feel like to be handled with such confident authority in more intimate circumstances. The key to successful mounting, Cole continued, his hands remaining on her waist, is knowing exactly where to apply pressure and how to maintain your grip once you're in position. His thumbs traced small circles against her ribs, and Nika felt her nipples tighten beneath her cotton shirt. The innocent touch was driving her wild with need, awakening desires she'd never fully explored. Show me, she whispered, her voice barely audible above the desert wind. Cole's control snapped like a taut rope. His hands slid up her sides, his calloused palms rough against the soft fabric of her shirt. When his thumbs brushed the undersides of her breasts, Nika gasped and arched toward him, her body seeking more of his touch. Nika, he groaned, his forehead resting against hers. You're playing with fire, little wildcat. I'm not sure I can stop once we cross this line. Then don't stop, she breathed, her hands fisting in his shirt. I want to feel everything you have to teach me. Cole's mouth crashed down on hers with the force of a summer storm. The kiss was hungry, desperate, filled with weeks of suppressed longing and desire. Nika responded with equal fervor, her lips parting to welcome the invasion of his tongue, her body melting against his solid frame. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard, their eyes dark with passion. Cole's hands had somehow found their way beneath her shirt, his palms burning against her bare skin. This is madness, he muttered, even as his lips found the sensitive spot where her neck met her shoulder. Then let us be mad together, Nika replied, her fingers working at the buttons of his shirt. I have waited my whole life to feel this wild. Cole's shirt fell away, revealing the bronzed expanse of his chest, marked with scars that spoke of a hard life lived on the edge. Nika traced the lines with reverent fingers, marveling at the play of muscle beneath his skin. You're so beautiful, she whispered, pressing her lips to a particularly intriguing scar that ran across his collarbone. Cole's hands tangled in her long hair, holding her against him as she explored his body with lips and tongue. Every touch sent lightning through his nervous system, and he found himself wondering how he'd survived so long without this kind of connection. "Your turn," he growled, his hands moving to the hem of her shirt. Nika raised her arms, allowing him to pull the garment over her head. The desert air kissed her bare skin, but it was Cole's heated gaze that made her feel truly exposed. She'd never been looked at with such raw appreciation, such obvious hunger. "Perfect," Cole breathed, his hands cupping her breasts with reverent care. "Absolutely perfect." When his mouth replaced his hands, Nika cried out, her back arching as pleasure shot through her like wildfire. She'd never imagined that such sensations were possible, that her body was capable of responding with such intensity. "Cole," she gasped, her hands clutching at his shoulders. "I don't know what I need, and I know," he assured her, his lips trailing lower. "Trust me to take you where you've never been." The sun continued its relentless journey across the sky as Cole worshipped Nika's body with hands and mouth, teaching her the true meaning of surrender. In the privacy of their canyon sanctuary, two wild spirits found each other, their passion as untamed and beautiful as the desert landscape that surrounded them. Windrunner grazed peacefully nearby, as if understanding that his mistress was learning a different kind of riding altogether, one that would change her forever. As the desert sun began its descent toward the horizon, painting the canyon walls in shades of fire and gold, Nika found herself trembling with anticipation. Cole's hands had mapped every inch of her exposed skin, leaving trails of fire in their wake, but she sensed that the true lesson was yet to begin. "Are you ready for the final stage of training?" Cole asked, his voice rough with barely controlled desire. His steel blue eyes burned with an intensity that made her core clench with need. Nika nodded, unable to trust her voice. Her body hummed with sensations she'd never experienced, every nerve ending alive and singing with want. Cole's touch had awakened something primal within her, something that demanded completion. "The most important thing about riding," Cole murmured, his hands moving to the fastenings of her leather pants, "is learning to move with your mount, to become one with the rhythm." Nika's breath hitched as he slowly peeled away the last barriers between them, his calloused fingers reverent against her bronze skin. The desert air kissed her naked form, but it was Cole's heated gaze that made her feel truly exposed and beautiful. "You're magnificent," he breathed, his hands tracing the curves of her hips. Like a goddess carved from moonlight and desire. Cole's own clothing joined hers on the canyon floor, and Nika gasped at the sight of his powerful form revealed in all its masculine glory. He was everything she'd imagined and more. Broad shoulders tapering to a narrow waist, muscles that spoke of years of hard labor, and the proud evidence of his desire for her. "Now comes the real test," Cole said, positioning himself between her thighs. "The moment when rider and mount become one." Nika felt the first touch of his hardness against her most intimate place, and cried out at the exquisite sensation. Cole paused, his eyes searching her face for any sign of fear or hesitation. "I've never," she whispered, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "I know," Cole replied gently, his lips brushing against hers. "I'll be gentle, little wildcat. We'll take this slow until you're ready for the full ride." With infinite care, Cole began the ancient dance of joining, his movements slow and deliberate as he introduced her body to the pleasure of complete connection. Nika gasped at the sensation of being filled, of becoming one with this magnificent man who had awakened her deepest desires. "Breathe," Cole instructed, his forehead resting against hers. "Let your body adjust to mine. Feel how perfectly we fit together." Nika marveled at the sensation of completeness, as if she'd found a missing piece of herself. When Cole began to move, setting a rhythm as old as time itself, she felt her body responding instinctively, matching his movements with growing confidence. "That's it," Cole groaned, his hands gripping her hips. "Feel the rhythm. Let it carry you away." The pace gradually increased, their bodies moving together in perfect harmony. Nika felt herself climbing toward something magnificent and terrifying, her body singing with sensations that bordered on the spiritual. "Cole?" she gasped, her nails digging into his shoulders. "I can't. It's too much." "You can," he assured her, his voice strained with his own approaching release. "Let go, Nika. Let me take you over the edge." The world exploded around her in a cascade of sensation so intense it bordered on transcendent. Nika cried out as waves of pleasure crashed over her, her body convulsing with the force of her first true climax. Cole followed moments later, his own release triggered by the sight of her complete surrender. They collapsed together on the soft sand, their bodies slick with perspiration, their breathing ragged. Cole gathered Nika against his chest, marveling at how perfectly she fit in his arms. Is that what they call the thunder in the desert?" Nika asked, her voice filled with wonder. Cole chuckled, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. "And that was just the beginning, little wildcat. There are many more lessons I'd like to teach you." As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Nika smiled against Cole's chest, knowing that she'd found something far more valuable than horse training. She'd discovered her own wild nature, and the man who could match her passion stride for stride. Windrunner nickered softly from where he grazed nearby, as if approving of his mistress's newfound education. In the distance, coyotes began their evening song, a wild melody that seemed to celebrate the joining of two untamed spirits under the vast desert sky. The Apache princess had indeed learned to ride, but it was Cole Thunder Mackenzie who had given her the most exhilarating journey of her life. In the heart of the Arizona desert, where ancient spirits danced on the wind, two souls discovered that the wildest rides were the ones that led straight to the heart.